from the Post-Millennial. 2 churches intentionally set on fire in North Carolina. The fires were spotted by residents before the flames were able to do that much damage. There were 2 churches intentionally set on fire in North Carolina, authorities have said. The fires reportedly took place over the weekend in Cleveland County, North Carolina. Fortunately, the fires were spotted by residents before the flames were able to do that much damage. Per the sheriff's office, the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office said that arson is the cause and an investigation is underway. Local fire departments, as well as the sheriff's office, responded to the scene to put out the fires. On the night of October 17th, between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m., intentional fires were set at 2 different churches on the in the Kesar, North Carolina area. Cleveland County Sheriff's Office deputies responded alongside local fire department personnel and Cleveland County Fire Marshal's office. The churches affected, Tabernacle Baptist Church on Corinth Church Road and Calvary's Cross Baptist Church and Mount Zion Church Road, were both damaged by suspected arson. Fortunately, both fires were spotted. Now, hopefully, and this is crazy to say, but considering there's a fear of political violence, we would be much better off if it turns out this was personally motivated. And I'm not to make light of the fact that these fires were someone tried to burn them down. But we have seen over the past several years intentional arson attacks against churches. And nobody believes that Notre Dame was set on fire accidentally. What do they argue it was? Power tools or something?
Yeah.
Cigarette or something, I thought.
I think they're saying they were using like an angle grinder and a spark hit or something. Like it was like a...
Definitely arson.
Yeah.
Well, whatever the official reason, no one believes it was an accident.
Right.
Because we have seen way too many churches get set on fire. And so I want to make sure I try and be as calm about this. This may just be a local issue. Someone was mad with the church over a personal issue. Or it could be that, like the beginning of a zombie movie, we are seeing more and more of these stories which shock and are indicative of a singular direction this country is going.
Well, if we're to go off precedent, what we saw in Canada, that was politically motivated. There were politicians slandering these locals, saying, "Oh, there is these mass," they said like indigenous graves that there was no evidence for, there was no proof for, it's just like speculation, and people just started burning Catholic churches down. And I think they burned a lot, like variety of denominations, but I think it was particularly the Catholic Church was blamed, and that it just set the table for political violence, and no Canadian politician attempted to sort of lower the temperature in any sort of way. And the same thing in America, where the one institution really that's still really sturdy in the United States in a lot of ways is the church. And specifically in this, I think these are probably Southern Baptist churches. And what does the church do to people? They say, no, don't do that. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's destructive to you. That's corrosive to your soul. But if you're like this liberated individual who just believes that like everything is here to serve me, the church is enemy number one, because the church is trying to refine you and shape you into a better person. And it's like, I don't want to be a better person. I want to be able to destroy myself in peace. And so these sorts of things happen. It's going to happen more and more. Christianity would be target number one for these leftists, and we've seen it over and over again. Charlie Kirk's a great example.
And not would be, is. I mean,
it's a current active threat. I mean, again, I don't want to speculate what maybe this was an internal issue, but if we're to go off of what we've seen so far and what we saw in Canada, I think you can kind of put 2 and 2 together here.
I think that it has been since the whole bake the cake issue.
Yeah.
Right? Like they targeted that specific baker because they were looking to attack a Christian. They were looking to make
an example out of
Supreme Court to force them to do something. And it's not like there was no other baker they could have gone to. This is something that we talked about a bunch. They could have gone to any other baker in town. There were plenty of places that would do it. And he said that he would he would sell them a cake. He just wouldn't do the art. They were looking to pick a fight. Mm-hmm. And it's been that way since. Mm-hmm. Like that's been the whole... The leftist kind of mental state is the enemy of everything I want is Christianity, even though the foundation of this country, everything that they build their desires on and everything that they rely on, like freedom of speech, all of these ideas, they all come in some way from a Christian foundation.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, and the cake baking thing set the precedent as far as like we're willing to enforce this at the end of the barrel of a gun, because obviously if these bakers didn't comply, eventually you would have had to use the police to come in. And so it's like, because the left was in charge obviously at the time, and so it's like, yeah, they're willing to go there. That set the precedent, and it's just going to ramp up more and more and more.
Have you noticed any like decline in religion or attacks on Christianity in Houston?
Man, it's not to where it's really noticeable.
Well, that's good.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Because in New York City, that's where I grew. I grew up out just outside of New York City, but lived there for a while.
Yeah.
There's churches there, and a lot of them have been captured by leftist ideology.
Oh, yeah.
So it's curious when I'm traveling the country to see.
It's a lot of churches in Houston that's left.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that right now. So, as a matter of fact, a few of them are now voting polls.
Oh.
Yeah, ain't that
Great.
ironic?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's either they capitulate your church and put a pride flag up as like a victory lap, or they just burn it down. Those are your two options.
Kind of the same
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, up in
Fundamentally,
West
I'd
Virginia,
rather
we got a
just
lot of
burn
those.
down. So
Yeah.
There's a lot of churches you were telling me about, Shane, that have the pride flags all over them.
All over. I was shocked when I came to West Virginia. You know, there's liberal pockets around here, but very red state. But yeah, you'll find it giant. Not just pride flags, like the newfangled version, you know, with all these things.
It's pretty crazy because the Pride Progress flag is a symbol of a new religion, a non-theistic religion.
Yeah.
And it's taken over your churches.
yeah, there's it's like a newspaper organization. They're called Protestia, and they like document a lot of this leftist activism, specifically in Protestant churches. And yeah, you just see like video after video of a pastor, or I would say pastor in quotation, getting up and just saying like, well, I disagree with this portion of the Bible, but I'm going to say it anyway, but here's a trigger warning. And then they just read like a verse out of like 1 Corinthians.
Insane.
Because they're even admitting from their fake pulpit, they're even admitting that like, actually, I don't even really believe in the Bible.
Heretics.
Yeah, this is below like the political agenda that I have. And it's like, so it's not even really like Tim said, something else has replaced it, and they're just using this church as like a husk to gather in.
Exactly.
Well, that's the left does with everything, right? Like they infiltrate
Skin suit.
things and then they wear it like a skin suit.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter what it is. And to Tim's point, like if they can't infiltrate it and wear it like a skin suit and make believe that it's always been this thing the way that they see it and tell you you're wrong for saying, no, I remember when it was different and when we had standards or what have you, then they just want to burn it down.
Yeah.
If they are completely comfortable with destruction, because if they can't have it, then they want to destroy it. And honestly, that is what they would do to the United States if they could.
Yeah.
It is.
They are.
they're doing.
Like the cities have collapsed. We were talking about the revolution. It reminded me of like a Benedict Arnold, right? And when he took over West Point, he had already become a traitor. Obviously, no one knew yet. He purposefully collapsed West Point, which is imperative to the war because the bend in the river there, right? And so he just over time destroyed it, turned it into a pig pen. Like it was disgusting.
What was he doing?
Just making it lawlessness, not checking up on the soldiers, making it literally gross, like letting. You can look up letters of soldiers that be like, he's letting the pigs run loose. It's insane.
And he was doing it intentionally to weaken West Point
So the British could take it.
Wow.
You know, and like they were dragging the chain across the river. But when we talk about traitors who are like mayors and governors of these blue states and cities, it reminds me of Benedict Arnold purposely letting the cities collapse for their ideology.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, because it's not like they want to take it over to manage it better in their heads. They want to take it over so they can like destroy it, but on their terms. I mean, like I think we're talking churches, like the Episcopal Church is a great example. It's like something like 32 presidents are Episcopalians. And it's like the most left-wing institution in the United States. Not even just church, like institution. And it's because they saw that as like the number one sort of glue for the elite in the United States. So they're like, we have to take that first. And then that's why they have Harvard. That's why they have Yale. Because these are like the institutions that resemble the American elite in the purest form. And that's why they have to take those first, because they have, like, if they can control the elite, then everything else is kind of like downstream from that. But just look up Episcopal on Google Maps. It's going to pull up your nearest Episcopal church, and it's going to look like a Chapel Roan concert in there. Like it's ridiculous. It's crazy.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's so sad.
Yeah.
Terrible.
And I don't know how we actually pull back from this, aside from just mass roundups. But you can't round up people just for being leftist or being on the left. They have to take action.
Well, like at the tangible level, I mean, obviously there's government action, but even at the lower, like I think Elon Musk actually demonstrated a really excellent way of doing this, because with a lot of things you actually can't develop like a counter institution, unfortunately. Like the institution that exists, like Twitter, it's kind of really hard to move out of the way. So you just take it back. I mean, he used capital to do it. But even like we're discussing these churches, it's like you can just bring you in a squad and roll up and just like vote out the clergy. Like that's a thing. There's mechanisms in place where you can do these things. So I think Elon Musk actually set a great precedent of like No, you actually sometimes you just have to retake the institution. You can't build like a counter institution, unfortunately. In a lot of cases you can, like media is a great example, but there's some things that are just there that are just like a rock. And it's like, no, you actually have to go through it. Like you have to take it back. And
which is the reason why the left is so comfortable with destroying it.
Right.
If they don't have it, if they don't have control, then they would rather see it destroyed than you have that kind of influence and power. Because they don't see institutions, or they don't see basically anything as anything other than a means to power. Everything is a way to exercise power. Everything is a way to force their worldview onto the population.
yep.
So
Yeah, the left act like spoiled children. If their mentality is, if I can't have it, you can't either. So it's like something like a murder suicide in a way.
yep.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.